O.J. Simpson was an NFL football player and actor. On June 12, 1994, his ex-wife Nicole Brown Simpson and her friend Ronald Goldman were found dead, being stabbed to death. Detectives went to Simpson's Rockingham estate to inform him that his ex-wife had been murdered. In the back of his home, they found some blood scattered all over a white Ford Bronco. Detective Mark Furman climbed over an exterior wall and unlocked the gate to allow the other 3 detectives to enter in with him. Simpson was not present when the detectives arrived early that morning. He had taken a flight to Chicago late the previous night. Detectives briefly interviewed Cato Kalin, who was staying in Simpson's guest house. In a walk-around of the premises, Furman discovered a second bloody glove. It was later determined to be the match of the glove found at the murder scene. Through DNA testing, the blood on this one was determined to have come from both victims. This, together with the other evidence collected at both scenes, was determined to be the cause to issue an arrest warrant for Simpson. During the trial, Simpson was represented by the Dream Team, which was initially led by Robert Shapiro and also led by Johnny Cochran. There were 2 additional attorneys who specialized in DNA evidence. Deputy attorneys thought they had a strong case against O.J., but there was a doubt in the DNA evidence. Cochran made the jurors believe that the blood samples had been mishandled by lab scientists and technicians. The defense team also brought up matters such as celebrity status, racial issues, and televised trial, which took all of America's attention. This was the so-called trial of the century. It spanned 11 months, November 9th, 1994 to October 3rd, 1995. At the end of the trial, Simpson was found not guilty, and by the end there was a dramatic difference in the assessment of his innocence and guilt between white and black Americans. 2 years after the trial, the Brown and Goldman families filed a civil lawsuit against Simpson. On February 4th, 1997, the jury found Simpson responsible for both death and guilty.
In 1992, there were a series of riots in Los Angeles, California, known as the LA riots, also known as the Rodney King riots. On the evening of March 3rd in 1991, Rodney King and 2 passengers were speeding through the streets of LA when a California highway patrolman attempted to initiate a traffic stop. But instead of pulling over, King sped away and a high-speed chase ensued, with speeds reaching up to 150 miles per hour. Finally, when King came to a stop, the policeman and his wife, who was also an officer, ordered all of the passengers under arrest. After the 2 passengers were placed in a patrol car, 5 other white officers attempted to subdue King, who came out of the car last. They tasered him, stuck him with side-handled batons, and then tackled him to the ground and handcuffed him. Sergeant Kuhn, one of the officers, later testified that King was resisting arrest and was under the influence of PCP, making him extremely violent. However, the entire thing was caught on camera by George Holliday from his apartment, which was nearby. In the video footage, it showed Rodney King trying to get up each time he was attacked. However, there was no attempt made to handcuff him until he lay still. Along with this footage, later drug tests for PCP came up negative. The footage, however, became a major focus for the media in the next 2 weeks. The Los Angeles County District Attorney subsequently charged the 4 police officers, including 1 sergeant, with assault and the use of excessive force. The jury consisted of 9 whites, 1 biracial male, 1 Asian, and 1 Latino. The prosecutor, Terry White, was black. Finally, on April 29, 1992, the jury acquitted all 4 officers of assault and acquitted 3 of the 4 using excessive force. The jury could not agree on a verdict for the 4th officer charged with using excessive force. This verdict was based off the first 3 seconds of a 13-second clip, which were cut out of the clip that was shown on television and through social media. The riots started the same day the verdict was announced, and the violence peaked over the next 2 days. Before the trial, there were minimum preparations made for any type of retaliation because it was deemed too low of a threat at the time. However, once the verdicts were announced at 3:15, people immediately began to riot. And at 4:58, Tom Bradley, the Los Angeles mayor, came out with this speech.
I first want to express my concern about the verdict of yesterday afternoon. I expressed my outrage and my shock at the verdict. Others have done the same. We invite people to let their feelings come out. I think that's a very good way of sort of getting a release that you should have. But that kind of expression ought to be verbal. That's what I said yesterday, I say again today. We cannot and we will not tolerate any violence.
Over the next 6 days, there were a total of 55 people killed, more than 2,000 injured, and more than 11,000 arrested, and about $1 billion worth of property damage. During this time, dusk to dawn curfews were enforced in the city and county of Los Angeles. On May 1st, 1992, King makes an emotional plea for calm, stating, "People, I just want to say, can we all get along? Can we get along? Can we stop making it horrible for the older people and the kids?" And by May 3rd, over 1,100 Marines, 600 Army soldiers, and 6,500 National Guard troops were brought in to help stop the LA riots. August 4th of the next year, 1993, there's another trial held. U.S. District Court Judge John Davies sentences both Sergeant Stacy Kuhn and Officer Lawrence Powell to 30 months in prison for violating King's civil rights. Powell is found guilty of violating King's constitutional right to be made free from an arrest with unreasonable force. Ranking Officer Kuhn is convicted of permitting the civil rights violation to occur. The U.S. District Court in Los Angeles awards King $3.8 million in compensatory damages in a civil lawsuit against the city of Los Angeles. And that is all from the Los Angeles riots.